Thank you, guys. Okay. Good evening, all. Thank you for joining us at this post-match presser with Hollywood Red Sharks coach John Plumtree. The floor is open.
Nice not to be doing it by Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
Actually,
John, obviously not. The guys showed some fight in the second half, but that first half you must have been quite disappointed.
yeah, look, I mean, we had no ball, you know. I mean, first 20 minutes, we just, they got some territory from kickoff, and we kept them out of a couple of good line-out stops. We had to, and because they're pretty strong here in that area, and we did some great work forwards, did some great work around that, and we did really well in that space. Yeah, I didn't think we'd get undone by a couple of kicks, but the cross kick, a little kick over the top, we probably didn't work hard. We got a bit narrow defensively, and they were good tries from the Stormers. Wasn't the way I thought they'd get them, but yeah, we didn't get the first 20-minute plan that we had in place. We didn't get it right, and we were forced to defend a lot of that half. When we got going in the 12 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago before half time, we actually played some pretty good rugby, scored a good try, got back in the contest. So yeah, but the start was average, mate. We didn't get enough ball. We didn't apply enough pressure on them. We were all absorbing it. We did a good job in that space, but wasn't the start we wanted.
You must be happy with some of the reserves coming back. Sia Masuka tried a few things when he came. So.
Yeah, I thought Sia did it right, and it was great to have Vincent Shituka. I thought he played really well when he came on. He's been out for months. Yeah, good to have Bongi back in there. Obviously, our scrum was better, and in Cape Town we struggled in the second half. It was good to see our scrum pretty good throughout the game. Pretty frustrating when there's 2.5 minutes to go and it takes the referee about 2 minutes of it to get the scrum right, but that's what you want when you want to kill a game, a scrum, so you can but that's a frustrating part of I guess the rules of the game. But I thought the Stormers, where they are right now as a team is where we want to be. I thought they worked real hard defensively whenever we had an opportunity, and we created a couple of opportunities, but we didn't finish them off, and they scrambled back and were able to stop us. I thought that's sort of probably a testament to their group, and that's why they're where they are. Tough outfit. So, but I thought I was happy the way that we never gave up. We came back into the contest even right at the end, and just didn't execute the line out right at the end, which is a bit of a coach killer. But anyway, that's the way it goes.
John, are you happy to blood Sia Masuku? Do you think that might give you some options going forward?
Yeah. Sia came to us, his conditioning was very poor, and he came from a really average base. So he's worked really hard. He's you can see he's got a little bit around his game, and he's got a really long kicking game. And his challenge is just to learn how to run the game.
Yeah.
But with a guy like Swayze Fenter alongside him, who's clever tactically, can help him. So yep, we'll see, and it'll be good to find out about a few more as well that I don't know enough about. And this time next year, I'm going to know plenty about everyone, and that's what I'm looking at, because I do feel like I've come in cold, and I guess that hasn't helped in many ways in terms of my knowledge of the players that I'm dealing with. But this time next year, I'm not going to have that problem.
You have a question? Go ahead.
Coach, considering the string of tough games that you faced, do you feel you're in the hot seat currently?
I'm always in the hot seat, mate. It's getting hotter and hotter.
Ken, you go ahead.
John, especially in that first half, it just seemed that the Stormers were always just that half a second or second quicker to do everything, decisions off the line. Is that a confidence thing? You sort of intimated that when you get on a winning run like they have, those sort of things just seem to happen naturally.
Yeah.
But for you guys, you've really got to work hard to get there.
Yeah, I was actually wasn't over impressed with the Storm's attack. You know, they had heaps of ball in the first half, and they scored with a cross kick and a kick over the top. Didn't really hurt us in phase. They didn't hurt us with their maul. You know, but what they do well is they clearly knew that space was there for them, and they exploited that space. Exploited us in that space. So I thought they were clever in that, and that's tactically where they're pretty good. They got one sniff in the second half, and they went pretty much 75 metres to score that try, and that was a really good try, and it was poor from us because we didn't get back and look after that. And but that's them being more clinical around the opportunity that they created. You know, we find some momentum and put a pewy into space and we drop it, you know, on the edge, you know, and that's a moment gone. You know, we score there, 15 minutes to go, they get a yellow card, and it's game on. But that's just us not being clinical enough to finish those opportunities, and that was a big part of what I spoke about the change room. You've got to, against quality teams, you've got to be good enough to execute those opportunities. And you know, just before half time, Mapimps makes a break and passes left, and maybe potentially passes right to Fussy, and he goes under the post. You know, so again, it's just being good enough to be able to nail the little opportunities that were presented to us.
Kenisa?
John, one look at the result. How much of a role does luck play in such small swings and roundabouts, especially with the narrow margins that you've suffered against the Storms and in the recent SA derbies?
I'm not steering too much around the luck thing. You know, I just want us to get better and better and improve. You know, I think you know, it's frustrating for me because I haven't had the opportunity to work with that full strength pack that I need, and especially in these big derby games. I thought our boys would try real hard tonight, but there's a difference between our first group and our second group and what we've got. So that's and we're challenge for us, like I spoke to a lot of you guys about yesterday, is us being able to do really well without our Springboks, or do well when we've got Springboks injured. And we've had a lot of those guys injured this year, key players. So when I get them all back in, I reckon we're going to be a bit of a force. But we're not there yet. It's probably only going to be more like April when we get that.
When you look at today's performance, how much of it do you take and apply into the Challenge Cup, because it becomes now, especially it becomes now probably the easiest way for the Sharks to get into the Champions Cup?
Yeah, I missed the first part of your question.
I was asking, what do you take off from today's performance and apply in the Challenge Cup, because it probably becomes now the far more easier route to get back into the Champions Cup?
Yeah, look, I mean, we know what opportunity we've got in that space. I mean, we've got a top 16 game here, and if we win that, we get a quarter final, and then we travel overseas to play in a semi. And spoke about it yesterday, but I think when you get to that quarter final stage, I think everyone wants to win it. So it'll be a tough competition to win, because teams are dropping back from the Championship Cup. So who knows, if you get through a tough quarter here, if we get the opportunity, then it's obviously going to be a tough semi away and a tough final. And I'm not staring too much into the crystal ball around, our access to the Championship Cup. I'm not worried about that right now. My immediate thing is around, like I did touch on yesterday, our retention, our recruitment. Learning more about the players, them learning more about me and the coaching team and what's expected. And I'm making excuses here, but like everything about this season for me is about us jumping into a cold bath, and it's been breaking in a new coaching team, us getting all to know each other. We've had a lot of injuries. World Cup, where Springboks have come back late. It's been pretty tough logistically for lots of different reasons, but like I said, for me, it'll be easier next year. We know each other, so a bit better,
Sim, go ahead.
Sorry, mate.
You ran these guys pretty close at Newlands, in Cape Town Stadium in December. How do you compare the two performances, the one from December to this one?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's probably hard right now to think about that. Both. They probably, in Cape Town, 72 minutes to go, we were ahead, and then we don't take a kick off, and then they go ahead. They get a penalty and go ahead, and then that game finishes with a 1 point loss. So it's a tough contest down there. Here it was about them suffocating us a little bit with the possession that they had. Probably in Cape Town we probably had a bit more ball. Here tonight we didn't in the first half have enough, but we still had enough to create opportunities to score, and we weren't clinical enough. So yeah, it's hard to compare the two contests. I guess the one that it's the same part. I mean, the score they won and and they won here, so we're just a little bit behind the 8 ball in that space. We're not quite there yet. No, we've still got a lot of work to do.
Looking at your tries, I don't know if I've got it wrong. It seemed like you threatened them more when you went more direct. Is that sort of like instructive for maybe going forward?
Yeah, well, when we got close to the line, we scored, which was good. But if you have a look at the territory stats, we'll be down on that. If you have a look at the entries into the 22, we'll be down on that as well. But then we had 2 opportunities to score further out, and we didn't nail those opportunities. So against the better teams in this competition, and Stormers are that. You've got to be good enough to nail that, and we weren't tonight. So we can be. Don't get me wrong. I think we can be. I think we. I've got a lot of confidence in this team that we're going to go get it right and go to the places that we want to go. But right now it's a little bit of a struggle, and for different reasons.
Final 2 questions. Any further? If there's nothing, thank you media for your time. Thank you John for yours. To all the media traveling back tomorrow, I hope you had a good time with us. And yeah.